Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world, and join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get our wrestling history on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is July 26th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1956, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Wildfire Tommy Rich. 1973, Japanese own Yuki Sakagaki. 1983, it's the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong. 1988, the villain, Marty Scurll. And last but not least, 1995, Tessa Blanchard. And we're going to keep that positivity train a-rolling. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for July 26th. Jumping in the Wayback Machine and going all the way to 1946, where we see Dave Levine defeat Kay Bell for the Texas Heavyweight title in Houston, Texas, to begin his second reign. Jumping to 1950, Ray Clements defeats Frank Murdoch to win the Amarillo Southwest Junior Heavyweight title in Lubbock, Texas. Grooving into the 60s, 1968, Fritz Von Erich defeats Spoiler Number 1 in Houston, Texas for the held-up NWA American Heavyweight title. This was a rematch from a match 2 weeks earlier in Houston. Grabbing my bell-bottoms and going to the 70s. 1972, Fred Blassie defeats Johnny Barend for the Hawaii NWA North American Heavyweight title, ending Barend's second reign. 1976, Mil Mascaras and Lou Thesz wrestle to a time-limit draw in Mexico City, Mexico at Universal Wrestling Association's first event. As a result, Thesz was declared the first UWA World Heavyweight Champion on August 15, 1977. Our last stop in the 70s, 1977, Ken Lucas wins his 10th NWA Gulf Coast Heavyweight title in Mobile, Alabama, ending Kurt Von Hess's second reign. Making 3 stops in the year 1980. First, Greg Valentine defeats Ric Flair to win the NWA United States Heavyweight title in Charlotte, North Carolina, ending Flair's 4th reign. Our second stop in 1980, Barry Windham defeats Masa Saito for the NWA Florida Television title in St. Petersburg, Florida. Our third and final stop in 1980, Cien Carrasas defeats Tony Benito for the Mexican National Heavyweight title in Pueblo, Mexico. Moving to 1981, Angelo Mosca defeats Mr. Fuji in Toronto, Ontario to win the Toronto NWA Canadian Heavyweight title for a 3rd time. 1984, the Grapplers Tony Anthony and Len Denton defeat the Uptown Boys Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers for the NWA Central States Tag Team titles in Kansas City, Kansas, to begin their second reign. 1986, showing the popularity of the company, WWF ran 3 live events across the United States on the same night. First, Detroit, Michigan was main evented by WWF Tag Team Champions Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda defeating the Iron Sheik and Nikita Koloff. The second show in Middletown, New York was main evented by Andre the Giant defeating Big John Studd. And the third event in St. Louis, Missouri was main evented by Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff defeating Bob Orton Jr. and Roddy Piper. Grabbing my flannel and going to the decade of grunge, 1991, the Can-Am Express, Doug Furnas and Dan Cravat defeat Billy Black and Joel Denton to win the All Japan Pro Wrestling All-Asian Tag Team titles. And last but not least, 1998, the WWF held the 23rd In Your House event, dubbed Fully Loaded. In the main event, WWF Champion Steve Austin and The Undertaker defeated WWF Tag Team Champions Kane and Mankind when Undertaker pinned Kane after a tombstone piledriver to win the titles. Those were your short but sweet pro wrestling history highlights for July 26th. I'm the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.